I'm a Forester here, and welcome to the second in a series of videos that I'm calling My Next Gun. I heard this phrase again this week while gun browsing in a local sportsman's warehouse. My intent with this series of videos is to help others who are new to handguns make more informed purchasing decisions. My first handgun was this Smith & Wesson Model 66 and 357 Magnum. I bought it several years ago at the beginning of what looked to be an economic meltdown here in the U.S. I'll put a link to my home defense video that talks about this gun purchase below. Within 6 months of buying this first handgun, though, I became aware of some crime statistics that are available online. You can probably find them in your state also. Where are you at the greatest risk of being a victim of violent crimes? And by violent crimes, I mean murder, rape, robbery, or aggravated assault. These are the crimes where you might wish that you had a gun to defend yourself. Well, if you're like me, you're probably at home less than half the time. Our jobs can easily take us out of the house for 8 to 10 hours a day. Add time for shopping, eating out, picking up mail, maybe playing softball, going to church, and all the other things that we do, and we probably spend half of our time or over half of our time out of the house. Well, why does this matter? I became aware that having this Smith & Wesson sitting in a drawer beside my bed wasn't going to help me one bit for over half of my day. Where do most crimes occur anyway? Well, here's a chart that shows that only 25% of the robberies that take place in South Carolina happen at home. So 75% of the robberies occur while you're away from home, either at your business, maybe buying gas at a gas station, or sitting at a stop at a traffic light on the highway. I believe a lot of people are considering concealed carry. In fact, I know they are. Here's another graph or chart. Let me get it to where hopefully you can see it, that shows the number of active concealed carry permits in South Carolina from 2006 to 2010, or actually through July of 2010. This information should be readily available online for your state also. Basically, we've gone from 30,000 to 120,000 concealed carry permits in South Carolina in a 4-year period of time. That's 22,500 new permits issued per year on average. With a population of around 4.5 million and 70% of that population over 21, I figure that 1 out of every 25 people is carrying a concealed weapon. And violent crime rates are coming down 7% over the past decade. I think the popularity of concealed carry permits is even influencing our legislators. Here's an article from a local paper that was published a couple of days ago. It describes a gun bill, or actually there's a couple of gun bills that are in the legislature, and they have a good chance of passing. I'll put a link to this article in the description below. Basically, the legislature may do away with the need for a permit and allow legal weapons to be carried in more places. Let me open this up and let you see if you can identify that gun right there. It's on the front page of our paper. I fully agree with allowing legal guns to be carried in more places, but I have mixed feelings about doing away with the permit. To be honest, the CWP classroom and shooting test were very easy. Most people could pass the test without breaking a sweat. I did learn about South Carolina gun laws in the course though, and the shooting test might weed out somebody who simply can't handle a gun. I think there is some value in keeping the permit process. They're probably wanting to do away with the permit simply because of the long wait that it takes to process all the new and renewed permits. So what guns did I look at while I was waiting for that permit to be processed? Well, if this gun was available, this is one, the Ruger LC9, that I definitely would have looked at. But it wasn't available back when I was looking at guns. for concealed carry. The guns that were the most recommended to me at the time were the Ruger LCP and the Kel-Tec in 380. Both of those guns are very concealable, but I wanted more firepower. I looked at quite a few 9mm compact pistols. This would have been one of them if it had been around. I looked at pistols like the Car PM9, the Kel-Tec PF9, and the Baby Glock Model 26. Any of which would have worked just fine, I'm sure. I was aiming for a gun in the $400 to $500 range, which would have eliminated a couple of those handguns. I was going to be the sole user of this gun, so I wasn't limiting myself to a revolver like I did in selecting the home defense gun. I waited to make my purchase on our tax-free holiday to save some money. This has occurred on a weekend in November for the past few years. The fact that this purchase was made in the fall of the year when the weather was cool actually influenced my decision. Since I wore a coat most days, I was looking at larger handguns, some that I wouldn't have looked at if I had been making the purchase in July. I ended up buying this gun, a Walther PPS in .40 Smith & Wesson. This wasn't an impulse purchase, but I didn't go to the store with this gun in mind. Remember, I waited until the tax-free weekend on gun sales. It's sort of a mixed blessing. Not all gun stores open on the weekend to take advantage of the traffic, including my favorite gun store, Lawman's. The gun stores that were open had lots of traffic and sales. If you wait for the tax-free weekend, chances are the gun that you want to buy won't be available. I went shopping with several guns in mind, any of which would work for me. This Walther was the one that I came home with, and I've been very pleased with it. What makes this gun the right choice for me? Well, it's very concealable with a large gun feel to it. I can get a full grip on the handle for great purchase. It's in .40 Smith & Wesson, which is a big step up from that 9mm round. That has quite a punch to it. The most notable feature of this gun is the slim design. The slide is right at 1 inch thick, and there is almost nothing hanging off the sides of this gun. I carry it in a Black Hawk inside the waistband holster, and it's very comfortable. Just like that. Let's look at this gun in a little more detail. One thing that I really like is the magazine release. It's built into the trigger guard, and it's ambidextrous. I use it with the middle finger of my shooting hand, and it's very easy to eject the magazine. I really prefer that type of release to the standard button magazine release that's located right here. It has excellent sights, and I'll try to put some still shots in there to demonstrate, but I really prefer these sights because the rear sights tend to be hooded, rounded, that lets me frame that front sight a lot better. Maybe you can see that in the still shots that I'll include at the end of this video. It has a trigger safety like a Glock, and it has excellent sights. It has changeable back straps that you can adjust to fit your hand, and it has a loaded chamber indicator. Things that I don't particularly care for, well, first of all, the price. I had to go outside my target price range of $400 to $500 to buy this gun, and it only came with one magazine. At the price that Walther charges for this gun, they really should include more than one magazine. The stippling is something else that I really don't care for. I'll give you a close-up shot of that, but it's really just cosmetic and serves no purpose. In terms of accuracy, let me set this aside and pull out some targets. The gun is adequate in accuracy. I think I'm the limiting factor with this gun. I took it to the range the other day, and here's a target that I had at 5 yards. and I had a 1 3/4 inch radius circle that I shot, which is adequate. Here's one at 7 yards. It was just a little bit wider, 1 7/8 inch radius. And then at 15 yards it got a little bit wider, out to 2-inch radius that I was shooting. I really wasn't that pleased with those targets, but it was my own fault in a way because I forgot my glasses and I took my trifocals with me to the range by mistake. I never figured out how to see both the sights and the targets clearly at the same time. Well, have I used this gun as planned? Definitely. I carried it religiously for the better part of 6 months, through the fall, winter, and spring of the next year. It really wasn't until the next summer when I began exploring the finer points of concealed carry, which is going to be the subject of the next video in this series. Would I have bought anything different in retrospect? No. Under the circumstances of needing a home defense gun that my wife could shoot, I would still have bought this Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum for home defense and this Walther for concealed carry. I wouldn't have done anything different. Now, if I was a single guy and I was the only person that was shooting this gun, the Walther would have made a great combination home defense concealed carry gun. That would have eliminated the need for the Smith & Wesson. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm covered for home defense and concealed carry. The collection has just begun. This is the second in a series of 7 videos that I plan to make on my next gun. Please subscribe if this theme is of interest to you. I'll address my choices in deep concealed carry, truck guns, training guns, and go-to-war guns in upcoming videos. What's your next gun? I welcome you to post comments or video responses below. Take care and enjoy some of the close-up shots of this Walther PPS.